Hey everyone, let's talk some crap about competitive players right after this quick intro. Hey everyone, it's Tasty Taste. I'm back from doing some short-term videos to actually discuss something, and this discussion is going to be something that's been kind of percolating in my brain since honestly like the middle of 8th edition, and now with 9th edition out and our two first lovely codexes. Let me just put this upside down like our president. Anyway, these two lovely codexes came out. Codex? Did I say codex? Like that? No, I meant codex came out. Codexes? How do you want to say it? Anyway, what I want to talk about is specifically about list building and how competitive players seem to be doing something that they've been doing, like I said, since the middle of 8th, and that is chasing the next great thing. And I feel like, I'm just going to say it, frankly, your wins in tournaments since the middle of 8th to now don't mean anything. Because I've always felt that there's a lot of lists out there that won major tournaments based on a gimmick, based on an exploit, which, you know, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, is pretty much is just kind of what we've gotten used to in ways in which you win a game, is you take a loophole or you exploit or take a really efficient unit and you spam it, or you just take the best unit and you hope that beats your opponent. But what I'm really talking about is people making lists that are just downright dumb because they're all about just getting through the first, let's take a 5-man tournament, just getting through the first 4 games with ease and then maybe getting challenged on the 5th game by someone who has your quote-unquote skill level or a similar list to fight you with. And I just think that's just a terrible way to play the game and really doesn't say anything about your skill. That's why we constantly get, you know, kind of a turnover on who's on the top. I mean, there's the general core players that you can expect to be really, really good no matter what. But there's sometimes these, you know, Johnny-come-latelys that come in and just exploit something. And I'm not going to name names, but we kind of know what we're talking about. There's always that 1 or 2 guys that just come every year that go and win a lot of events. But in honesty, when they get to like the LVO or the really large events like Nova, they just kind of fizzle out because they were based on list construction, not based on talent or skill at the game. And so I'm just trying to make this as an opus to telling competitive players, stop. And let me give you an example. A very clear-cut example that came out recently, and that is the land speeder javelins that we saw spam for Salamander's list, which now you can sort of still do, but Salamanders are kind of nerfed, so it's a little different. But, you know, for the beginning of 9th, we got all these lists that were dominating with the Salamander type, with the javelins, speeders from Forge World, and they were just exploiting points and just a really efficient unit. And that's just dumb. It means when you win a tournament, am I really getting beaten by the player? Or am I really getting beaten by the list? And with 8th edition and 9th, you know, we're going to the 9th now, but with 8th edition specifically, this seemed to be the constant theme of people making lists, and then 2 months later, Games Workshop, you're releasing an FAQ, points adjustment, nerfing that, destroying that, and people move on to the next one. It really makes your winning of games less spectacular, less interesting, and really tells me that you're not necessarily a really good player because you're just following the meta to an extreme in very short time dilation. So literally you'd have like a list, let's say like the Malefic Lords that happened in the sort of beginning of 8th. That was a thing for like 3 months until the Rule of 3 came out and that ended and then changed it to Smites. So what does that say about you as a player? What does that say to you as a committed player that you just followed this one gimmick trick thing to win games? It doesn't really say that you are a good player. It says that you just took an efficient unit and did it and won the games. And so what that does also cause, and this is what gives a bad rap to actually really good players, is that these poor guys, the really good players, are forced to either copy or follow along in making things that defeat that list or that gimmick. And it just forces them to a box because they can't afford to lose, you know, for their ego's sake, probably for the most part, and also for some financial reasons for some of our top players. But they can't afford to lose like a round 2 game to a random scrub who happened to take a really broken list and beat your really balanced list that would have won enough for just a few bad rolls. So they're kind of forced to, you know, play the same game as these, you know, kind of edgelord players that are just kind of Johnny-come-latelys that, you know, might win a couple tournaments and then disappear once that thing is nerfed. So it's this kind of cycle of just terrible list building that I'm hoping, and this is my big hope, is that looking at the 2 codexes for 9th edition so far, Space Marines and Necrons, I feel like Games Workshop might actually be onto something, might actually be on top of stopping this gimmickness. And I know we have some things like the ATVs and the apothecary, and if everyone doesn't know what that is, the apothecary for Space Marines is really powerful. It can basically, heal, return a unit, one unit, and then heal another unit. So what people have been talking about online is that the ATV, the little stupid Mario Kart Space Marine unit, that you can basically heal an 8 wound, you can bring back one 8 wound unit right away. Now, this is not necessarily that broken, but people have been talking about it being broken, and with, quarantines and everything, we really don't know how technically broken it is. But the basic thing is that we're getting far fewer edge cases like this, where Games Workshop is actually actively stopping this sort of thing. And honestly, I actually kind of wrote an article yesterday about this same topic, and it's linked in the description below. So if you want to go get into more detail about the kind of history of these kind of broken Games Workshop developed things that people are exploiting, which rightfully so, they're allowed to exploit, it's in the rules, but it just doesn't really look good on you as a competitive player, because it's just kind of, frankly, bullshit. And I think that it doesn't really showcase you as a player. And that's why I kind of always like players that not necessarily always win the large events, but, make the top 5, make the top 10 of a large event, because they took a list that was true to themselves and they just played really, really well and only lost to these really edge case lists. So back to 9th edition. So if you look at the 2 codexes so far, for the most part, like I said, with the exception of a few little minor things, they're really internally balanced. And what I mean by this is that, you really are forced to make decisions. It's really hard to make a decision on, can I get this combo off and exploit a certain situation? It's really about, what are the best units for me? How do I want to approach the mission? How do I want to win the game? And less about, how am I just going to destroy my opponent in the first 2 turns and let that determine who wins the game, or exploit a certain thing, make an unkillable 1 unit that can't be killed and exploit that. So I'm really hopeful, and of course, I could be completely wrong, and that, what I'm saying right now, in 1 month, someone's found like 5 different broken things in each codex, and it's just terrible, and it's all over. And granted, Games Workshop has an incentive to make a few things broken, at least for a limited amount of time, so that people sell and buy those models, which is obviously seen with things like I said, this Land Speeder Javelin, which I think Forge World sold out on, and I'm sure China Casting happened a bunch for that model. But like I said, that only lasted a couple months, where before I would say, in 6th and 7th edition, you could have that last years because Games Workshop wasn't FAQing anything or doing anything to fix those problems. But as I see it right now, and I really want to, make this a call to competitive players, if any of them are watching this video, that just stop. Make lists that are good, that you can learn how to play 9th edition, play to the missions. Don't be stupid. Don't think that, I'm going to win this event and, get my ITC score up or make me look like I'm a really good player, when in fact you're really not a good player. You're just a player that's exploiting a temporary loophole that is just dumb and stupid, and that Games Workshop is going to fix. And it's going to be fixed. So then why even effing do it? You just want to win that badly? It says more about you and less about the game, honestly, that you're willing to, stoop to that level to do that. And of course, when I say this isn't going to change, and like I kind of mentioned before, this has kind of been time immemorial, but with the way in which Games Workshop fixes these sort of issues, it becomes really dumb to do it. You can't really hide behind everyone else is going to do it, so therefore I have to do it. Stop. Learn the game, learn the missions, understand that Games Workshop's going to nerf whatever you little shenanigans you're going to try, and they're going to do it quickly. As we've been seeing in this, the massive amount of FAQs we've gotten so far for 9th already, they're going to continue to do that. So it's just dumb and stupid, and I'm just asking you, stop. Make all-comers lists, win that way, and you'll feel like the greatest player ever, because you're like, I just defeated all the scrubs, I defeated all the good players that try to use weird tech to try to beat me and get these gotchas, and you won the tournament right out. So with that, guys, if you like this video, please like and subscribe below. So just do that, and I feel really good about it. I'll have more short form battle reports as soon as I get some more games in and film them. I had a few, but I accidentally screwed up the filming, so that didn't happen. But anyway, hope to see you guys again, and like I said, like and subscribe, and talk to you guys later. Bye.